Welcome everyone to YorkArts at City Art. My name is Mindy Christian. I'm the program director at YorkArts. And the exhibit that we have up right now is Ballstown High School. So this week is actually the kickoff to our week-long high school exhibits that run until the end of May. So it kind of gives you guys an idea of some of the student work. Feel free to wander upstairs. There's more work upstairs. And we also have some goodies in the back after you listen to everyone read.
Yes.
So, yeah. So,
okay.
Here's the mayor. We'll get on with the show.
Thank you, Mindy. Thank you all for coming out this evening and welcome. It is my honor to welcome all of you and to be here with you. It's so good to see you. I'm excited. Many wonder, I think many wonder at least, I've heard it at least, what does the City Poet Laureate actually do? Carla, did you get that question? Where is she? Oh, have you gotten that question? She's supposed to be out there for me to ask. Yeah, okay.
All the time.
Well, in the case of Carla, as we all know, she's done it all. So we're excited again to be here this evening. I want to thank Councilman Helford for joining us as well, too. Thank you so much for being here, sir. Good to see you out here with us, too. I believe that from its inception, under my predecessor, Mayor John Brenner, the Poet Laureate works to bring the power and the beauty of poetry and the spoken word to our community and to increase our awareness about the spoken word in the city of York, but throughout York County. The Laureate gives poetry readings, hosts readings to showcase other writers, and helps work with various community organizations to plan literary events and workshops around the region. Excuse me. A major focus, and one of the things I ask strongly of the Laureate to do, is work close with our young people, give them a positive outlet, teach them how to have that outlet in and out of the classroom, and I know she's done it all. Carla, York's fourth Poet Laureate, was introduced my first term, I think, in 2010. And I loved her. I couldn't get rid of her.
So many people say that.
Not like that. But the past ones have been around, or been in office, if you will, a year, 2 years, or something like that. I wanted her to go through my whole term. I really wanted to win a second election, and for her to do the inaugural address. There was just something stately about that. And I wanted it to be her. So I won, and she did it. And now she has to leave. So we did 4 years with her, and I think a term really had us be able to engage quite a bit, learn about each other, me learn her works. She was at many of our State of the City addresses and a whole lot of other city events. So I'm excited about it. She has developed this Poet Laureate position into much more, I think, than what anyone thought it would be. She has even developed her own talk show. She's initiated the series that took me by surprise. Here I am in the audience listening to jazz one Saturday night in January. Next thing I know, they're introducing my Poet Laureate. She gets up and does a piece, and jazz is going on behind her at Asbury Church. It was fabulous. It sent chills. It really was breathtaking, and I enjoyed it tremendously. But she introduced that whole series, if you will, Jazz and Poetry Live. Other events, other things you've done with local musicians, local writers, it's just been a really good thing. So since becoming Laureate, Carla has given birth to many original poems that I hope are being published. Okay. She has also worked, again, on behalf of me and in numerous programs and events to support artists and the arts programming throughout the region, and I am so proud of the work that she's done. She's been a wonderful ambassador of the spoken word, a tremendously talented speaker of and for the city of York and York County. And while we're sad that she is moving on, we wish her well with all of her future endeavors, and we say thank you. So, of course, I wouldn't be Mayor Bracey if I wouldn't ask her to do a piece.
Oh, geez.
Yes, please come forward. And
I just might have one.
come forward, ma'am. Carla Christopher.
And, I was absolutely going to read a piece that I had written about York City, but I'm going to diverge because I do tend to do that too. And I just actually got back this morning from burying my grandfather. And it was a wonderful experience seeing his life being celebrated. He was a wonderfully accomplished man. And about a day before the service, my aunt called me and said, well, you're the poet. I'm gonna need you to write a poem and we're gonna perform it for everybody and have it in the service in the program. And I said, do you want me to write a poem right now? Right now about this? And I realized I can do this because I have been in service with my writing for the last 4 years. I have written not just for me and for the exorcism of my own demons or thoughts or my own glorification. I have been writing for a city that I love and a mayor that I believe in and people that I cherish. And I have learned to find the personal and the excitement over York's involvement in the Civil War or over the opening of a new city hall. It wasn't good enough just to write a poem for these events. I needed to find the spirit and the heart in each one of these events that would talk to the souls of the people that were there. And in a way that I felt I was putting myself, a piece of myself, into each poem. And in learning how to do that over the last 4 years, I realized how much I've grown from that exercise. And that through doing that, I was able to say, well, now I'm in service to my family. And I wrote a poem, not for me, but for them in an hour and a half. And because there have been many mayoral poems that were finished on the car ride, thank God for red lights. And only that first year. And it just, to me, it made me so grateful and feel so blessed. And it does me such honor to hear people say that they're grateful for what I've done and that they support the work that I've done. But I feel so lucky to have been given the opportunity to share and to be a part of York's cultural scene and York's downtown scene. I believe in this city with all my heart, and I believe that the artists are part of the heartbeat that is going to make this city stronger and give the real joy to the renaissance that is being carried out by the government and the commercial industry and the downtown scene and the stores and the shops. Where the artists are the heartbeat that is giving that flush of life to all the other strong bones that are working together to build one body. So I wanted to read you the poem that I wrote for my grandfather, because this poem is the culmination of everything that I have learned and everything this city has gifted me with in the last 4 years. So imagine that instead of this lovely girly voice you hear, you are hearing the voice of a booming 6-foot-tall man, German coal miner, Hershey farm boy, son, who is coming to the end of his life. I have married the prettiest girl. I have brought the stars in from the sky. I danced with Chinese dragons and climbed the pyramids of time beyond memory. But you see, she was the prettiest girl because she was mine. And the dragons were made of paper, but their colors were so bright and fine, I needed nothing more. I was grown from Pennsylvania soil. I have carved the trees I planted. I have laid my children both in the earth and upon it. And you are my breath and my blood. So grow in my stead, not upon the rise of wings, but on the backs of beasts. Yes, see, I dreamed of going to the stars, but Instead, I brought them to me. And yes, I've spilled battle blood, but not for victory. Let it be said, when I freed my spirit to the wind and left my body behind, that I am not only remembered for the summit that I reached, but for the rugged hills I climbed. Let me be loved, not for my fame, but for the names of those my hands pulled forward. Not for my height, but for the rise of those I lifted. I am a child of this Pennsylvania soil. I have carved the trees I planted, building kingdoms from the toil of my hands. And now you, my children, are my kingdom, the only one that truly mattered, and the one that still stands.
She is just fabulous. Thank you. So you get a gift. It's a volunteer position, so we're going to present to you. And let's see. She has a key.
All the doors are open now.
It's all there. So thank you. On behalf of the City of York, we do appreciate everything you've given us, Carla. Thank you. So we have a bit of a process that we go through or have taken on, I guess, to select a poet laureate with a partnership with YorkArts. And I don't know if any of our other volunteers are here that sat around a table and listen. No. But we picked a number of esteemed individuals from our community. The executive director and CEO of the Strand, Kim Wessler was one, individuals from Penn State, York College, myself, Carla, YorkArts, to listen as we process and pick the next person. We huddled together and talked about it and listened to everyone who applied to the city's poet laureate position. And I do appreciate all of the volunteer time that was given. I told them it'd be a short commitment, one evening. It was a short commitment, but it was a little bit more than one evening. But the time, talent, and energy that was brought to the process was really fun and definitely worthwhile. So thank you to all of our volunteers. The Poet Laureate's mission is to focus on 4 objectives: encouraging students to express their literary creativity, promoting and showcasing the original work of York's citizens, helping to create a community environment that encourages and appreciates literary talent and expression, and creating works of the written word that commemorate special events in the life of the city. As I mentioned earlier, there were a number of requests for my laureate to do different pieces, and she's indicated that as well. Everything from State of the City addresses, or to really dig deep inside, as she mentioned, to give a piece commemorating the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. And, you know, that takes a little digging, I would imagine. Thank you. This volunteer role is unique. And again, it is a volunteer role, and folks give countless hours, and they're very special in doing so. We're delighted to be able to continue on with the tradition. So tonight, we have a new poet laureate among us. The City of York is excited to have someone to carry on the work of our previous laureates, Jerry Meisenhauer, Bill Diskin, Carol Williams, and Carla Christopher. Christine Lincoln. Let me tell you about this young lady. She holds a degree in creative writing from Washington College and the University of Baltimore. Christine has performed her original work at numerous colleges and venues throughout Maryland and Pennsylvania. She is the author of 1,000 Hills and Sap Rising. Look at this. Isn't this awesome? I don't like Kindles. This is what I like. And was featured in the Oprah magazine, his Phenomenal Woman, October 2000. Like that, right? She has appeared on television and radio and participated in the annual International Writers Festival in Durban, South Africa in 2001. Her literary style has been described by critics as revealing her deep conviction that the writing process can redeem the poverty, ignorance, and cruelty in characters' lives. I am going to ask our new poet laureate to come forward, read a piece, and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, thank you everyone for coming. I want to thank just Mayor Bracey and YorkArts, everyone who was involved in the selection process, and especially Carla, just for giving me an opportunity and taking a risk on me. And the reason why I say it's a risk is because I'm primarily a fiction writer. A nonfiction writer. I'm a baby poet is how I call myself. I just started writing poetry, I guess about 5 years ago, and it's still very new genre for me and intimidating. And when I stumbled upon the Poet Laureate application, I almost didn't apply. Joanne, who is my best friend, was like, just go for it, take a risk, take a leap, and I did. And I even asked Mindy, can I read fiction at the interview? And she's like, well, no, it's Poet Laureate. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just withdraw. But in 2008, I had an experience, and God said to me, whatever you're afraid of the most, that's the thing that I want you to do. Mm-hmm. And so I was terrified. And I knew that was what I was supposed to do. So I applied, and here I am. And my deepest prayer and desire now is to really do Carla justice, because she's phenomenal. I'm gonna cry. I'm a crier. I'm a crybaby. She is an amazing woman, very generous of spirit. Has just taken me in like a little bird, knowing that I'm afraid and nervous, and when the right time comes, I'll have everything that I need to be able to fly and do for the city of York. I feel like I'm being passed the ball, and I want to take it as far down to the end zone as I can possibly get it. And so I thought, because I'm a fiction writer, one of the things that I really want to do is to get the fiction writers on the scene. The poets here in York have a very strong community, and thanks to Carla as well. But there aren't very many fiction writers. I've been here 8 years, and I've never heard of a fiction event. So maybe my desire is to see the fiction writers come out of the closet crawling, like gnawed off, and to stand up and begin to become a part of the York art community. So I thought I would read a poem and then read a short story. This actually was inspired by my grandmother. I'll tell you a little bit more about the short story, but I'll read the poem first. I am gray, the belly of rain doves, the frail cage of sinew and bones, thudding heart, as vulnerable and unburdened as water. I am the gray edge of age, that slice of half-light, the severing between what is and what is becoming. I am as gray as the Saluvian Sea, the silver shimmers of darting fish, as magical and elusive as a memory. this short story is inspired by my grandmother, who was raised during the time when it was probably impossible or extremely difficult for Black women to become writers. But she was the most magnificent storyteller in the world. We would sit on the porch and in the dark, and she would tell us stories that would have us terrified to go to the bathroom at night. You know what I mean? It's like, it's your grandmother, right? It's like, thanks, Grandma. And she had difficulty with her sight. And so I saw a picture of her when she was a little girl, and I built this short story from her difficulty with her sight and that picture, and it's called Pity Pat with the Girls. In the black and white photograph, her arms are crossed, folded like the fried chicken wings the family has for supper every Sunday after the subdued Methodist service, quite unlike the Southern Baptist service she is used to. Her legs are crossed too, into a big girl X, and covered in woolens meant to keep her from catching her death of cold. She doesn't care about things like death. She is cross. She wears a knit cap of fiery red to match her temperament, or so I imagine. It is autumn, 1920, and she is angry. Her mother did not come. Her mother did not bring the four sisters whose voices and laughter crash and tumble like water over rock. The big house is too quiet for a girl like her, a girl whose eyes are weak, a girl who has grown accustomed to noise, and besides, she is much lonelier than any little girl has a right to be. Months, like years, have passed since she first came to live in the big white house with its black slatted shutters that bang like gunshots when the wind blows hard, its scattered rugs that slip under hasty feet, polished furniture that records every fingerprint, and its two stiff chairs. There is no one to fight over a plate of applesauce cookies, no one to push and shove for covers and half of the pillow. Even after the surgery, when the eye patches are removed and she is finally able to see, she will not be going back home. She will never go home. Though she does not know this when the photograph is being taken and she is being told to smile, her prettiest smile. She doesn't smile. She will not give them the satisfaction. She's like that. Not yet 5 years old, and already she is everything she will eventually become. In the background, at the photograph's edge, the oak tree is just a shadow, shedding leaves in increments, like a little girl letting go of promises. She will mark the passage of time by this falling away. Some nights, when the aunt and uncle are sleeping, she goes to kneel in front of her bedroom window, its wide sill inches from the floor, her chin resting on her knuckles. She wants to be awake in case her mother ever does come. One night, when she is 10, and the moon is white as sun-bleached bone, the girl will make a wish. She could ask for anything: wings, a fairy godmother, make-believe friends to take place of the sisters, a bus ticket back home, eyes that don't need a surgeon to see. At first, she repeats her wish every night, one simple sentence, then not again until Christmas Eve, when every young girl's secret is weighed. But when she is too old to sit before windows like altars, when she no longer believes in Santa and sometimes not even God, she will forget she ever made a wish at all. It's not until the morning of her wedding, as she sits at her vanity and stares at the oak's reflection just behind her bare shadow, and she sees those bright green summer leaves, that the words come back as clearly as if she'd spoken them only moments ago. Give me someone who won't let go. And even after she says, I do, after the cake is cut and the guests all gone, she will hear those words, that wish echoing. Why shouldn't we be married, right? Her new husband will say, as the last pickup leaves the driveway. They are at opposite ends of the screen porch. She has kicked off her white kid beaded shoes and sits rubbing her toes back to life. She rubs, narrow her eyes, and glares, but night is coming and he doesn't notice. He stands leaning against the threshold in his war uniform, a smudge of sugar-spun icing staining the collar. He grins. All she sees is a blur of white where his mouth should be. It's been 3 years since her last surgery, and her eyes are beginning to cloud again. He wasn't the first man she'd loved, though she will keep this revelation close to her breast all the days of her marriage, like an ace of spades and a jack is on the table. Her husband is a gambling man. Their son is not. When he is 9 years old, the boy will come home from school with a black eye because the other boys have told him how babies are made, and he can't imagine his mother doing such a shameless, disgusting thing. She is taking sheets off the line when he comes upon her, his books held to his chest over his heart like a shield, his face as devastated as the day it will be when she is on her deathbed. Is it true? He will want to know. Are babies made like this? It's her chance. She could tell him everything, not about the men she knew before she married his father, never that, but she could tell him about the failures of life. How nothing, not even a mother, turns out to be the way you want it. But her wedding day wish has become a vow, something to live and even die by, and life on a pedestal isn't that hard. She picks up her wicker laundry basket and takes her boy into the kitchen where she will cut him a piece of homemade chocolate cake and make a poultice for his eye out of potato slices soaked in a solution of witch hazel and cream of tartar. And she will tell him, only some babies are made that way, but he is a nighttime wish, an answered prayer sent from God. When the big white house is a beautiful light green, she will fill it with 5 more babies after the boy. Only one will be a girl. Unlike the son, this daughter won't need any convincing. She takes after her father and will always see her mother's flaws. After her children, our mothers and fathers have grown and gone, and she is between surgeries and cannot see, we will steal peppermint candies from the kitchen cabinet while she sits listening to Name That Tune or Match Game on the black and white television. At those times, when her eyes are like cloudy, overcast days, she will know us only with her ears and the tips of her fingers. But she will always know her way around that kitchen with an iron, a washing machine, or a clothesline. She makes herself indispensable with these things. When she is 86 and her eyes are the strongest that they have ever been, she will realize that she hates chicken and dumplings, that she has always hated chicken and dumplings, though it was her husband's favorite Sunday supper, and he believed it to be her favorite as well. She doesn't like baking triple layer chocolate cakes from scratch once a week either, and would much rather be playing cards, pity pat and the deuces wild, for quarters, with her girlfriends. She hates ironing sheets too, doesn't see the point of it really, and one Tuesday out of the clear blue sky, she will stop just like that without a word. In this way, she has come back to herself, slowly and in increments. In the photograph, she looks as if she could tell the whole world to go to the devil. And when she is very old, she will do exactly that, because by then, it won't matter anymore.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to have fun. Thank you so very much, and welcome to the position. We are honored to have you as our Poet Laureate, and I look forward to your work and working with you. Thank you again, ma'am. We appreciate your service to our community as well, and all that you brought to the city. Thank you, YorkArts. Thank you all for embracing the arts, embracing poetry in our community. Please tell a friend, come on out more often and listen and learn. For sure. We thank you very much. We have a small reception. Back this way?
Yes, we have more stuff.
We have more stuff. Okay. Take it away. That's what I understand.
Feel like that was it. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the one that has this. All right. My predecessor, Carol Clark Williams, is unable to be here tonight, but she wanted me to very specifically and personally tell you that she wishes you all the blessings and joy and growth that this position can bring to you. And in her stead, there is a grand and wonderful tradition of poet laureateships in the state of Pennsylvania. And two of the most prolific and talented and committed activists to the office also agreed to join us tonight as a gift to welcome you, to share an example of some of what they do, what they have done, what you can look forward to, and just a taste of their work as a representation of what one can accomplish through the honor of this office. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you who has done us great honor by traveling considerable distance to join us tonight. The first would be Miss Dana Sowers, the Poet Laureate Emerita of Hanover.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Councilman, ladies and gentlemen who love poetry and short fiction. I am Dana Larkin Sowers. I am the second poet of Hanover. I was preceded by Anna Manahan Bowman, who was the first poet laureate of Hanover, which was the first borough designated with a poet laureate. The only poet laureate in the Commonwealth in advance of Anna Manahan Bowman was a gentleman by the name of Samuel Hazo, who was given that title by our governor. So we all belong to a great and proud tradition, and I certainly welcome you to this tradition. I have known all of the poets laureate of York, certainly very close to Carla. We've worked together very, very much, and as much as you have a lot to give to your city, you also have a lot to give to the Commonwealth, because the poets laureate of individual cities and counties come together and work together for the good of all. And of course, Mayor, you are absolutely correct. We work in nursing homes, we work in hospitals, we work in malls, we work in in school systems, we work in the streets and in festivals. Sometimes we are inspired, which is the easy part, and sometimes we are asked to write for particular circumstances, which is the more difficult part. Tonight I would like to share with you a poem that I wrote on my opening day as the Hanover Poet Laureate in 2005. My tenure was 2005 through 7. And I just to give you a little history, I had started a column, an interactive column in the Hanover Evening Sun every Sunday for 2 years as a result of Bill Diskin, a former poet laureate of York, and have published that in collected works now. And of course, all those poems are from constituents of all over Pennsylvania and in fact the world. In fact, the national poet laureate at that time, Ted Kooser, is printed in my book. So we have a way, of just our voices have a way of carrying beyond the city, though we're firmly rooted here, as Carla says. So I wrote this poem for that event, and I'm going to read it to you and give you this copy as a gift with my blessings and my hopes for just a great, great tenure. And it is called Commencement. Opening the pages of the journal named Beginnings are blue ribbon Sundays in the week's yawning starts, Sabbathing themselves among groves of crocuses delivered by dawn's wailing. A waxed apple's own amazement at its initial appetite, followed by the fire starters. Collected kindling the eldest emblem, inflaming evangelism of vegetable germinating of cyclical questions that beg omega. Origins tied like Celtic knots, the perenniality of green. Between the sheaves is the letter A, and its antecedent, the ever joyous Alleluia.
Also joining us from Hanover is the first poet that I actually had someone reach out to me and say, and contact me, find me, not for me, but to say, do you really know Michael Hoover? And I was like, I really do. She's like, that's amazing. Thank you. But because he is an educator, and the student of his that found me had been his student more than 20 years before, and was so inspired by his work and by his teaching that when she saw his name on a Facebook post, it inspired her to not only find me, contact me, re-enter into the world of poetry and start coming to meetings again, and to also begin creating her own work, which she had not done since high school. So if any of us ever doubt the powerful influence that we might have on another person, don't. Ladies and gentlemen, Poet Laureate Emeritus of Hanover, Michael Hoover.
Thank you, that was very kind. And part of the truth, I believe, is the influence that we have, we can't imagine. We really can't imagine the influence that we have. And it's not just by our words, but our actions as well. And people sort of judge us, I guess. We're not supposed to judge. But I think that people look to us, for example. And it's one of the rewards of teaching. I'm still doing it. I still enjoy it. I'm going to do it as long as I enjoy it. And but to get to the Poet Laureate position, I was the third Poet Laureate of the greater Hanover area. We just were at a celebration this past Wednesday of the induction of our sixth Poet Laureate, and we've done a 1 year open to a second year that we wish, if we wish to continue to serve the community, we may if we're invited to do so. So we've been going for a long while now. I was sort of lucky, all right, because Dana was before me, and where she had made inroads with the public with respect to getting poetry published weekly and an article on poetry weekly for 2 years. That's a lot of writing to do. Well, of course, I felt compelled to continue that tradition. And I said, well, I'm going to try to do that. And we met with the editor, and of course we had the support of the mayor as well behind us, and everything was continued. And so I did that as well for 2 years. And I thought, well, how can I do maybe something different? Both of us are educators, and I know that we reached out to teach, to use that forum to teach the public, because sometimes the public just doesn't understand, where creativity comes from. A lot of things, people just think that it's kind of an easy thing, that if you're a writer, it's really not work, it's just this talent that comes, and it's really not. You get some inspiration, but there's some hard work. And so we did showcase the community. We invited the community to submit their poems, and then we would fashion an article around that poem somehow. We would introduce it and use it to reinforce what we had to say about the word. And the only thing that I sort of added was to try to record voices so that I could get a reading and try to put that online as well. And of course, that's many years ago when things were a little iffy, but we got to do that, and so some of those are archived as well. So there's different things that you can tweak and sort of take your own way, and I wish you all the luck in doing that. And it's so open, and yes, you are asked to go many places, and we have read many places, and we've met so many wonderful people, and especially just the community that we've had. We started critique groups, and from there these people have gone to other cities. They're in Lancaster, in Harrisburg, down in Frederick, Maryland, far-reaching. And we just have this network of people that are just so wonderful and very supportive, and they will support you in any way that you wish. All you have to do is ask. We're there, okay? I just want to offer that to you. I guess by way of a poem that I'd like to read. I don't have a copy. I could give you this copy, but it's folded. I'm not going to give you something that's folded, but I can say this is something that I've recently wrote, and it's called Losing Faith. But the whole idea is when you feel as though you can't go on. I mean, the object, is to keep hope alive. It's not, faith is one thing in humanity, but it really comes from you. It comes from your center out. And I think that most of us do that. And if you also insist that you're not a poet, your fiction is poetry. I'm here to tell you. It was wonderful, wonderful, just beautiful. You have such a command of language. This begins with an epigraph, a Buddhist saying, "Awaken this night, our lives are shortened by one day." Losing faith. One day never comes and always arrives unexpectedly. We wake, say our prayers, engage the day and what it brings, not what we make it be. Those who refine our lives into the energy required to sustain them provide the gist. We grist history into myth and precedent. We avert ruin or recovery, pick sides. When dreams can no longer be re-envisioned, skies begin to pinken. A deer hesitates and is saved, not lost. The herd grows and is harvested. Curiosity and suspense support any premise, and intuition counters every conclusion. We must invest in hope for any interest to return. Thank you. Thank you, Carla.
Oh, they are still here. I think for both of us, I know, since we've gotten to spend some wonderful time getting to know each other and talking over the last couple of weeks, so I know that I speak for both of us when I say that our cultural community in York is so blessed. Wherever you may be from, your mayor is not as awesome as our mayor.
We should get a t-shirt.
My mayor is more awesome than your mayor. And, but she does not do it alone. We have Angela Anderson is our tireless advocate, and Equina is here, who works with community relations and does so much outreach into the community, and Deb, who does so much interaction with coordinating everyone and everything into one email. And in so many places, the creative and the cultural community is one that is disenfranchised. It is one that does not feel that it has a voice and does not feel that it is listened to. And in this place, in this time, we have become part of this perfect, magical, Renaissance-oriented triangle of connection that has allowed our downtown scene and our commercial community and our financial community and our government and our education community, as well as our arts and culture communities, to come together and weave together in one vision of what York can be, strong only as its weakest link, and therefore the equal commitment for towering power and enlightenment in every aspect of our lives here. And we truly are blessed to live in a community where we can be nurtured in every aspect of our being, where we can go and find, a downtown scene, where we can go and find people that are struggling from whatever perspective they may be coming from to make our educational system the best it can be, where we have a culture community seeking to inspire and enlighten us. We are truly well-rounded people. And so to close us out and to send you to the good food that I know you are waiting for, this is just the end of a piece that I did write for the city. And so I say this to Christine. Continue with me. Grasp my outstretched hand and raise it high with Mayor Bracey, with councilmen and women, with law enforcement, and with those teaching, those preaching and building and rebuilding, those singing, designing, healing and manufacturing, those farming and nurturing. We are York City. And together we may stand without fear and proclaim victorious to the world. Come what may, we are still and will always be here. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I just need you to give a massive hand and thank you to YorkArts. And hopefully we will see you back on Friday, because the Writer's Eye Poetry Competition, which is judged by the Laureate, will be presenting, and this year the subject was the wonderful sculptures that are downtown. We have poets that have written poems in responses to this wonderful public art installation that is popped up everywhere, and they'll be reading Friday at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. at YorkArts Gallery on Beaver Street. If it doesn't rain, it looks like it might, we will be walking over to the sculptures where everyone the winners can read their poem or short story pertaining to that particular sculpture. So hopefully it won't rain, but if not, meet us at YorkArts Gallery at 6 if you'd like to join us. So.
And the ultimate thank you goes to the woman who we would not have a laureateship without, and who's, aside from just the value of her personal friendship, but her nurturance and her tireless activism on behalf of the art community for this city has been what has allowed me and all of the other artists in this area to become what we are. If it were not for the tireless work and belief and support of Mayor C. Kim Bracey, none of us would have accomplished even a fraction of what we have. It is wonderful to be an artist. It is lonely to be an artist. And to live in a community where you do not feel lonely, you feel supported and believed in and a part of something, that is a gift beyond measure. So ladies and gentlemen, please thank Mayor Bracey for what she's done for us. And thank you all for loving poetry and for coming tonight. Please come and join us in the back. Make sure you stop and meet Christine and say hi to her. And we will hopefully see you all at poetry.
Thank you.